Hey everybody, Jim Powers with NCAA.com as we continue to roll through our Division II Elite Eight pre-championship interviews, and they're back and they're ready to go to defend the national championship. It's the folks from Northwest Missouri State and their head coach Ben McCollum and Ryan Hawkins joining us. And Coach Mac, what an unbelievable region you guys just came through. Talk a little bit about the season and just everything from COVID to not being sure if we were going to play to where we're at right now.
Yeah, even from the start of the season. So we started, what would it be, back in mid-August, and it seemed like 4 to 5 hours of my day was spent on COVID-related conversation, testing protocols, quarantines, how to not get contact traced, how to not get it, how we're going to have a season, how we're going to practice, all those different things. And we battled through it and really fought for a season. I thought our conference was at the forefront of that, where they really battled and said, hey, we're going to have a season. It's going to be safe, but we're going to make sure that these kids get that college experience. And then we made it to the season and kind of surreal, the first game down at in Claremore at Rogers State. And, after that, we just started to roll a little bit. Had 23 days off where we had a quarantine or whatnot, or COVID-related quarantine, and then came back, had 3 days of practice, and then played a game. So that was interesting, but it's been a fun year. Our kids have battled. It's been nice to have experience with that. And, it's been nice to have a season playing 27 games and fortunate enough to be in the Elite Eight. As far as our region goes, I think consistently it's one of the most difficult top to bottom. I thought that Northern State was fantastic. Washburn obviously beat us twice. I thought they were really, really good this season and could have done some damage in the Elite Eight as well. So we're fortunate enough to be able to come out of there.
Ryan, one of the things that I'm talking to our student athletes about, and it was something one of the student athletes that I talked to at my institution back in the fall, was with all the gyms shut down, all the workout facilities shut down, you kind of had to go old school a little bit to do training and all that stuff during the COVID times. And it was almost like a lot of basketball players especially found that reaffirmed that they loved the game because they had to go old school. What was some of your things that you were able to do? And did you kind of get that feeling that, I like basketball, I love playing it, but now after going through all this, I really, really love the game?
Yeah, I think having kind of the tournament taken from you last year made you, number one, miss the game and just showed you almost the hole in your life you have without it. But then it also was kind of fun to almost go back to your roots, kind of. You go to an outdoor hoop just to get shots up, and it's like, when you were a little kid, you didn't care about getting shots up. You were just there to have fun. And so I think it kind of brought that fun back into it a little bit.
No doubt about it. Ben, one of the things this year in the last run, you guys were undefeated coming into Evansville. This year, it's a little bit different because you lost a pair of games to Washburn. I mean, close games, great games. Has that kind of maybe a little bit more motivation coming into the Elite Eight? And what kind of things helped you guys after those couple losses to Washburn to get you maybe more focused for the run?
Yeah. Can I answer some of Hawkins' question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Just to add to that, and then we'll come back to that question. I'll see if I can keep my train of thoughts. Some of the things that they did, I thought that might be of interest to some people. They went outside a lot when we had that 3-day quarantine. Some of them were just in quarantine. And so they were able to at least go outside and exercise. And so they would go outside, or they would Zoom a workout in their apartment, and or when they weren't in the quarantine, we actually set up a gun, the shooting machine at my house, and they'd come one at a time and get some shots, and they were fighting to stay in shape and fighting for their season throughout it. I thought those were pretty neat things that our kids did. Coming into now to answer your question, for me, coming into the Elite Eight, I don't think it matters whether you've won or lost. I think sometimes it can reset you. And so, maybe that benefits you that we lost a couple times. But once you get to this point, it's everybody's undefeated. It's win or go home. I don't think there's any advantage to anyone coming into this, regardless of seeds, regardless of what's happened during the season, because everyone's good. It's like, well, did you get a good draw? Well, I don't know. Is there a good draw? I mean, I don't think there is a good draw. So you need to make sure that you're ready regardless of what happens.
And Ryan, what a group you guys got. And I've had a chance to watch you guys play quite a bit. I mean, you got guys like, Trevor and Diego. How cool is it to be able to play with those guys and how they're able to kind of complement you with the big game in the middle and those guys with being the guards out front?
Oh, it's so fun to play with those two. They're probably the best pair of guards in the country at our level, without a doubt. And it not only makes my job easier, but it makes everybody on the court's jobs easier, just because the energy and the effort that those two bring. Diego gets you to that different level of emotional intensity every single game. And that's it just feeds off of him. And then Trevor's so cool, calm, and collected every single game. It's just been a blessing to be able to play with those two for so many years.
Let's talk a little bit about that regional final. And Mac, I was telling you this, before we started recording, and I was talking to some friends here. That was big boy basketball at its utmost and finest in that regional final. And I mean, so many different directions that game went. I mean, it was close, then you guys got ahead, then they took the big lead, and then the big rally at the end, and then getting into overtime. What was going through your mind during that whole experience in, like you said, arguably one of the toughest regions in the country and probably one of the best regional championship games that I've seen over the last maybe 5-6 years?
Yeah, boy, not a lot going through my head outside of just the intensity and just trying to infect them with some of that intensity and competitive spirit. A lot of it was just player driven. They did a good job of continuing to believe and continuing to fight for their season and get enough steals, get enough stops, and then hit enough shots to be able to come back. I thought the neat part about it was the crowd. I mean, they had a really big crowd, and it was loud, and it made for a fun experience that we haven't had all season long. And so I just thought it was a neat game all around. I thought they were well prepared, well coached. I thought their kids were, obviously really good basketball players. And I can't say enough about the heart of our kids to be able to come back and win that.
And Ryan, you were on the court, I mean, and a lot of people kind of look down a little bit on D2 basketball, but I think if anybody watched the regional championships from Tuesday night, I think they'll get a better appreciation for what D2 basketball is all about. And I think your performance and your guys' performance against, them and that game within itself kind of shows that, hey, we're pretty doggone good as well.
Yeah, it's high level basketball. There is a lot of that almost stigma that goes with the different divisions. And honestly, if you're just able to play at the next level, you should, embrace that opportunity and make the most of it. And I feel like that's what we've done as a team here. But man, that's probably the most fun basketball game I've ever played in. Win or lose, that was gonna be one of those games you remember for the rest of your lives. But I feel like the crowd there, like Max said, kind of infected us, and it was we were being cheered against, not cheered for the most part. But it's still kind of brought you back to old times with the packed arena and you had fans there, and there's nothing better than that feeling.
What did Coach Max say in that last media break? I mean, because really at that point you guys were down, I want to say, I think 9 at that point, and then out of the break they get a bucket, but then that was it. You guys got things going. What was that conversation during that last media break all about?
I couldn't tell you.
You don't listen to me anyway. What are you talking about? Do you want the censored or uncensored version?
I think a lot of people are going to watch this, so we need to keep it
PG. Okay, yeah.
Keep it PG.
Yeah. Hey, go do some stuff and win the game, I think is what I said. So that was, it's not, it's so funny. Coach talk. It's like, you think that it's rocket science, and it's really not. You just get kids that want to compete and fight for each other, and the kids do the work. Unfortunately, I can't take any credit for any of what went on outside of the kids that we recruited and their effort and intensity.
Before we get into talking about West Liberty for a moment, Ben, this is your fifth total, third straight. Is this one of the deepest Elite Eights that you've seen in your time at being a part of this and being down at the Elite Eight?
As far as the other teams?
Yes.
I haven't watched a lot of the other teams, so I'm not totally sure. I would guess, I guess that's hard to tell. I'd have to see him first. I think the tough part for this season is that there's a lot of teams that opted out or didn't play. And so it would be difficult to say that one way or the other. I thought that our 2017, Lincoln Memorial, Fairmont State, us, the first round was St. Thomas Aquinas, Bellarmine. That was pretty loaded. And then the other year that we went, I thought that was pretty loaded as well with Southern Indiana, Point Loma and whatnot. So St. Anselm. So yeah, every year you get to this point, they're all pretty good.
No doubt. Well, let's talk a little bit about West Liberty. Ryan, first off, I'm not sure if you've seen any of the West Liberty stuff, but what are some of your things that you're going to be looking at going into the quarterfinal next week?
I think it'll be big for us to play at our pace. They're a pretty up-tempo team, try and go up and down the court quite a bit, and we're more of a possession team. So I think that'll be a big point of emphasis for us. But other than that, just excited to play the game.
Coach, I know you've probably already started digging into some film a little bit, and we know what West Liberty's all about. They're going to win the scoring title once again this year. They love to get it and go. Is it going to be more of trying to get it back to your tempo to keep them from turning it into a track meet?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a fallacy that goes with what West Liberty does. I think there's, like, everybody kind of assumes that they just run up and down and shoot. They do some of that, but I think they also execute. They're pretty physical. They're pretty tough. They're pretty strong-willed. There's a lot of things that go with them from a program standpoint that you have to be ready for. And so, I don't know if it's that necessarily of controlling the game as much as it is making sure that you can stand up to their strong will and try to be as tough as them and see what happens.
No doubt about it. Well, guys, I appreciate the time. I know it's an exciting time, for you guys, and getting back to it and trying to defend that national championship. So good luck to you next week. Wish I could be there in person, but I'll be watching from here in St. Louis, and we'll talk to you all after the games next week. But good luck and take care of business.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Ben McCollum and Ryan Hawkins joins us once again here. We'll see Northwest Missouri State. They're the number 2 seed. They'll take on West Liberty in the quarterfinal on Wednesday. You'll be able to watch all the action right here on NCAA.com. And we'll talk to all of the participants during the postgame press conferences after every game. For coach and player, I'm Jim Powers. Thanks so much for checking us out on NCAA.com. We will talk to you very, very soon.